James Erdt will support you with valuable tips, tools, and some of his best success secrets inspiring joy, abundance, and healthy, active living. Are you ready for that?
Each and every one of us was given the gift of free will. We all have the power of choice, and that is what directly shapes our destiny. It is a catalyst for positive and negative change. It can elevate us to heroic heights, or it can plunge us into the depths of despair. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." My friends, is it okay if I share a story with you of when I was a young man? Up until the age of 16, I was a great student. I was a good artist. I had great marks. I had great friends. I had a few girlfriends, not all the ones who did. And then it all changed. With what seemed to be a minor decision, turned out to be a major, life-altering choice. I smoked my first joint of marijuana. And then I smoked another. Shortly thereafter, lube, hash, acid, mushrooms, and boy, was it easily accessible in high school. All the cool kids were doing it. Sadly, that's what I thought was cool. It led to grade slipping, skipping school, hanging out downtown, crime, violence, and more drugs. When I was 17, to support my drug habit, my girlfriend and I thought it would be fun to forge a check of her father's for 10 grand to take off to Mexico to party. Guess who was waiting for me at the bank? Her dad, with the police. I was charged as a young 17-year-old man, and by the time I got into the courthouse, I was 18. I ended up on a range of bikers on my 18th birthday in prison. Not fun. Scary. Imagine, think about it, 18 years young. You remember when you were 18? You don't have the coping skills to deal with adults yet, especially bikers and gangs and all the stuff, the nasty stuff that goes on in prison. And yes, it's true. What you've heard about prison and what you've seen in movies is true. The 90s. Has anyone heard of raving? Yeah. The phenomenon in the 90s? They called it drug culture. It wasn't about getting high. It was about creating a utopia where all human beings, irrelevant of your color, your race, your sexual preference, your age, to get along. No alcohol, no violence, only drugs and peace and love. It's kind of like the hippies of the 70s came through to the 90s when they became cyber hippies. Well, that was the beginning of the downward slide where I took my first pill of ecstasy. Shortly thereafter, cocaine, Special K, heroin. Not injecting, because I knew I would never come back. Snorting, smoking, and those were my drugs of choice. And I repeat, choice. It was my choice to do these harmful drugs, and I was solely to blame for the path that it took me down. I'm sure you can think of a few choices that you've made in your life that I suggest you take responsibility for, because that is the only way you can heal. Everything and anything that happens to us, for us, with us, around us, is based on our choices. Very simple, law of attraction. Like attracts like. What happens when you throw a punch into the universe? Guess what's coming back? Another punch. Worst of all, by the time I was 30 years young, 4, and I repeat, 4 of my friends are dead because of drug overdoses. One friend dead from gang violence, and one of my good friends, who's one of my speaking partners, shot twice coming out of a nightclub in Montreal, point blank range. Mailman found him bleeding to death in the snow. Not fun. Not fun. Look 2 people to your left. Look 2 people to your right. Imagine them gone. Imagine how many families that affects. Brothers, sisters, mothers, dogs. A lot of pain. A lot of pain. A lot of unnecessary pain. And it started with one choice. I crossed the line with one decision when I was 15 years young. I smoked a joint. A gateway to a life of crime, violence, drugs, pain, and more pain, and more pain. When I was 33, my best friend called me. I was out of the scene for 3 years already. Out of sight, out of mind. I had to get out. I had to get away from the individuals that I was surrounding myself with, because you are the sum of your closest 5 relationships. It's true. Think about that. Think about the 5 closest people around you. If they're negative, if they're naysayers, if they suffer from that horrible disease called excusitis, send them love and say goodbye. Move on. Make yourself distant. They'll get over it. They'll understand. Maybe you'll lead by example. Maybe you'll inspire them to change their ways and to come to the pursuit of excellence 2016. Woo! So, long story short, 33 years young. My friend calls me, hey, you haven't been out in 3 years, why don't you come out clubbing? We're only going to do 1 pill of ecstasy in moderation. In moderation. It won't kill you. Moderation doesn't kill you. Anything in moderation is okay. True? Guess what happened? I decided not to go. I was like, thank you. I'm honored. You shared this wonderful invitation for me. However, I know my poison, and that's house music, loud, in the middle of the speaker, on the dance floor, having a good time, surrounded by other people having a good time. The peer pressure is there, the music's there, and guess who else is there? The drug dealers. All they care about is this, the almighty dollar. So at 33, it's a very different scene than it was when I was 15. Very different scene. What's out there now is bad stuff. His wife called me the next morning. She doesn't call me in the morning. First 2 words out of his mouth, her mouth. He's dead. 1 pill killed him. 1 pill killed him. There goes moderation out the window for you. Sad stuff. This is a guy that could party do 4, 5, 6 pills in a weekend, no problem, for 15 years straight. 1 pill killed him. You might as well put a bullet on a gun, put it to your head, spin the barrel, and pull the trigger. You got the same chances. Now, I do not share this with you to glamorize drug abuse in any way, shape, or form. I do not share this with you to toot my own horn. I share this with you to make you aware of what is out there amongst our youth, and to inspire positive and proactive decisions for those who are thinking about, considering, or are actually doing some of the silly choices that I made as a young man. Now, the moral of the story, and why I'm even sharing this with you today, is because each and every one of you have a story. Is that true? Anyone have a story? Put it over here. You all have stories. I assume there might be some speakers, coaches, internet marketers, young entrepreneurs, veteran entrepreneurs here in the midst that are all gearing towards inspiring other individuals. Is that true? So, one of those elements that you need to master is networking. Okay? networking. I learned networking in the streets. The university of the streets is where I learned networking. I work with a lot of at-risk youth right now, and they are some of the brightest kids that I know, some of the brightest people that I know, because they are schooled in the streets, they're schooled in prison. 9 out of 10 of them don't even know their dad's name. They don't even know their dad's name. If you have kids, the moment you leave here, pick up your phone and call them and tell them you love them. And I mean it. I didn't hear the words, I love you, or I'm proud of you, son, until I was 30 years young. 30 years. I can officially and proudly say I am completely 100% clean for almost 14 years. The networking part is what we're going to get into now. It's a skill that needs to be mastered to connect to other human beings on this planet. Okay? Now is the absolute best time to live for the entrepreneur. We are in the golden age of the entrepreneur right here, right now. And this is the only moment that exists. The now. This is the only moment you will ever have. You have a choice. In every single moment, including this one. Bad or good. Bad or good. There's a line. With networking, what I did with this gentleman that I met at the reservation yesterday, instead of just handing him my business card, okay, and him handing him his, and us kind of going our own separate ways, or going through a networking event and basically pop, 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 trying to get as many people as I can, hoping to God they're gonna like look at my card and study it when they get home and like figure out who I am and call me, does not work. They usually end up in file G. Garbage. All right? Did anyone get my book, the Dynamo Diaries? That's the best business card you can get. You're probably not going to throw that out. Right? Becoming an author, you know, nobody's going to make $1 million being an author anymore, but what it does is it positions you as an expert in your space. So what you want to do is you want to figure out what that space is. You want to figure out what that space is in order to share that with the person you're networking with. So what I ideally suggest to do is go deep. Go deep and start to build wide versus shallow and wide. Go deep and start to build wide versus shallow and wide. All right? Then you have these genuine relationships being formed, and you're supporting one another. You go in with, what can I serve you with versus what can I get from you? You know the Hare Krishna, when they go to the airports and they just approach you and they quickly come up and they give you a flower? What do you feel obligated to do?
Give them something back.
That's the power of giving. That's why they do it. That's the power of giving. Imagine flipping the tithing model from 10% to 75%. Just think about it. You know, Julia had us thinking about a number of what we'll make. Imagine thinking about a number, doubling it and doubling it again in regards to giving. So then he's like, okay, I will give you one of these if you can pass my game. And I've done this game more than anybody. I know this game. This guy's like between 60 and 160. I don't know. He's like, he's wise. Like, he's up there with Yoda. This guy, he's sharp. And he's testing me nonstop. And still that fear is inside. He's somewhat aggressive and angry. However, I'm just standing there, peace and love, knowing that I'm going to be okay because I'm not a threat to him. And he knows that and he senses that. He told me the story about the pack of wolves, what happens if I do anything to him, his brothers are going to come and get me, and I'm still just listening. He's like, all right, are you open to playing the game? Sujit, are you open to playing the game with me? Yeah? Come on. Let's give Sujit a big round of applause. All right. So Sujit,
Yeah.
you seem like a pretty bright guy.
Thank you.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
I like your hair.
I'm modeled after you.
So, Sujit, I've played this game more than anybody, okay? If you beat me, I will take this entire group out to dinner
Oh, nice.
tonight. Chop.
Pressure's on. Let's go.
Chop.
Let's go.
You guys know chop? It's one of the best steakhouses if you eat steak. Vegetarian. I will take this entire group if you can beat me.
Oh, wow.
Nobody has ever beaten me.
Wow.
Okay? And I've done this a long time. I'm an old man. And I'm not too smart. So, the game. The game. Okay? So he's attempting to network with me. He's attempting to figure out who is this Caucasian man standing in my sculpting shop. And he's putting sage on, and he's got eagle feathers, and he's smudging me and getting rid of the evil spirits around me, and it's like smoke everywhere. Standing here just like Sujit. Not knowing what's going to go on, but Sujit comes in love, and I know Sujit's not going to do anything to me. You know, because I see he's still standing here, he's okay, he's willing to play my game with me. So I'm attempting to build a deep relationship with Sujit to figure out if he's even worth having a deep relationship with. Now, if Sujit just handed me his business card, do you think I would have even got this far? No. He's taking me a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. So, Sujit, the game is very simple. 5 questions. Okay? 5 questions. You make it to question number 5, I pay for dinner for everybody in this room.
All right.
Pressure's on.
Yes.
Can you do it?
Sure.
All right. Very simple. So, this has nothing to do with your character. It has absolutely zero to do with who you are. It's just a game. Okay? So the game is, every question that I ask you, you have to lie.
Okay.
You have to lie.
Have to lie. All right.
Okay? You tell the truth.
Okay.
You tell the truth even once. You take them all up to dinner.
Pressure's really on now. All right. It might not be that in restaurants. All right, let's go.
All right. So, let's start with an easy one. What's the color of your shirt?
Red.
He's good. Huh? Is he good?
Yeah.
Okay. I might have a trick here with you. Let's get a little bit harder here. Are you a man or a woman?
Woman.
Some men hesitate. They're like, oh, I can't say that. You're good.
I want
You've
to
been
taste
practicing?
dinner.
Purple looks good. So, number 3. This was a horrible event.
Yes, it was. Absolutely horrible.
How many questions you
That was really good.
got? You lost! You answered correctly. A little bit about them and give them a gift. And when you actually greet somebody, you may say, oh, look at that, front row, maple leaves, things. So when you greet them, you look at them, and then you offer this to them, and then when you actually accept it, you actually study it for a brief second. So just take that, you take a look at it, and then you look up at me and acknowledge me. Right? So it's a deep, deep connection. So this is what we're going to do. You can have it, but the game happened last night, they lost. You know, so it's just wonderful how the universe opens up when your heart's in the right place. So these, you know, I came from this experience to ending up with complimentary leaf stickers thanks to Neil because of his awesomeness and his open heart, and somebody recognized that and came and paid it forward this way, and doors just open when your heart's in the right place. So, long story short, I was like, okay, I'm going to practice guanxi with this gentleman, and he started thinking, the natives do this too, so how does this guy know this stuff, right? Right? So I ran out to my car, give me a second, and I came and I got my book. Can I see one of them? Right? So I did that, came in, and I was like, right? So I stepped aside, right? And he's like looking at me, he's staring at me. Is he going to get his lacrosse stick again? Right? He's like, wow. He's like, come here. Right? So I step a little closer. He takes out of 1,363 soapstone pendants and gave me the first one.
Wow.
This is the original.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? He was so amazed because most people come to the reservation to take. I came to bring riches versus take riches. So the dynamic completely changed. I now have a friend. I have a good friend that's highly respected in the entire community because I took time to what? Listen. The best speakers are the even better listeners. Listening is the art of networking, not speaking. Genuinely listening and caring. So, this stone, the heart, has the eagle feather going down the center. The eagle is a very sacred animal, right? And they actually call me the eagle in native for my role in a group of 6 networks of the at-risk youth. So, the line, the center line in the eagle feather is good and bad in anything, right? So it's reminding me of the common sense choices that you can make. So the heart, if you actually take, well, basically the heart is the furthest inward you can go, and they say the eagle is the furthest outward you can go, right? So you're basically covering the entire earth. However, if you take the H in heart and you put it behind the T in heart, what does it spell? Earth. Pretty cool. I brought 10 tips for you guys today. I'm going to fly through them, and then we're going to get into some really cool networking. Okay, circular speed networking with depth. Each and every one of you is going to get a chance to speak. Is that cool? We're going to learn about all of you. So, this here happens to be one of my brands, Joy Zone. Okay, joy is actually the highest emotion you can feel in what's called the emotional guidance system. Anyone familiar with Esther and Jerry Hicks? The late Jerry? Right? So Esther and Jerry Hicks, they have this emotional guidance system which basically explains your internal GPS. So human beings have a GPS. It's called listening to your gut. Feelings, fear, despair, grief, anger, very low resonating emotions. Abundance, love, joy. Joy is true north. When you're in joy, you are on the right track. Anyone ever heard of this saying, the money is in the list? It's true. Super networkers. Okay, super networkers around the world. Guys that have a huge list. Brendan Burchard, Tony Robbins. I'm sure you've heard some of these names. Frank Kern, Robin Sharma. When and why they're interested in you has absolutely nothing to do necessarily with who you are or what your message is or how much money you have. You come to them with one offer of a list. I have 35,000 leads for you. You say hello to me. They will be your friend. So social media, obviously the big ones, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram now. There's many. There's 50 of them, right? Focus on maybe 3, 4, 5 at the absolute most. Don't waste your time. Pick the big ones. I've made 80% of my income in the past 5 years from Facebook. 80%. Okay? Facebook is obviously number 1 right now. Instagram is where the young people are because the parents figured out Facebook, so they left. It's true. It's true, right? So you obviously want to have some sort of way to capture leads. Okay, leads is very, very important. You want to capture leads and then have them opt into your mailing list.